Welcome in. Here we go. Welcome in. It is a gorgeous Friday morning. And we have got week 3 on tap. So let's talk about last night's game. So the Bills get the W 31-21. And something about last night's game just didn't feel right. So I went back and I was looking at the numbers and looking at what had happened through the game. So this is the stats for the game right here. Total yards. Buffalo Bills 360, Miami Dolphins 276. Turnovers, Miami had the 1 turnover, the Tua Tagovailoa interception. The Bills had none. 23 first downs for the Bills to 19 for Miami. 6 penalties for the Miami Dolphins, only 3 for the Buffalo Bills. Miami was 10 of 15 on third down. Pretty gosh darn good. and 1 of 1 on 4th down, while the Bills were 6 of 11 on 3rd down and didn't attempt a 4th down completion. The Bills were 3 of 4 in the red zone. Miami was 3 for 3, and the possession was only 31-47 Buffalo, 28-13 Miami. When you go down that list, you kind of wonder, was the game really that close? But when you were watching it, and everybody's out there playing, and everything's happening, you never felt, even when the game was tied, you never felt Buffalo didn't have control. Not once did I ever feel like, yes, the Dolphins were going to win. I felt the oddness of how some things had been playing out, but I definitely didn't feel like the Dolphins were going to win. Now, I do want to give proper credit to the Dolphins. They played outrageously hard last night. They had heard all the talk. You could tell their pride was on the line. You could easily tell their pride was on the line. So, to that, I give them great credit. They came out, they were much more focused, they played very hard, but they went up against the better team. The Buffalo Bills are the kings of the AFC East currently. The New England Patriots, I believe, will be, with Vrabel and McDaniels, I believe they will be able to challenge Buffalo in games, but not really challenge them for the division. When you look at the trajectories of these two teams, Buffalo very clearly, even after last night, I really think their GM needs to be looked at really hard, because I think he has failed this team in a pretty considerable way. Tua Tagovailoa was not sacked one time with a completely makeshift backup offensive line. Not once. Josh Allen was sacked twice by the Dolphins. The stats bear out something very simple. Josh Allen was 22 of 28, 213 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Tua was 22 of 34, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. As a team, Buffalo ran the ball 27 times for 157 yards, and Miami ran the ball 25 times for 130 yards. They had a little bit of juice, the Dolphins did. They had a little bit of juice. But I wonder if it was a mirage. If this was a team getting pissed, signs flying over the stadium, short week, nobody gave you a shot, these are grown men, was this game a mirage? Will they go into the next game against the Jets and lay a complete dud down? definitely possible. In fact, in most ways, probable. So when I look at that game, the fact that the Bills just controlled everything, DraftKings never ever believed Miami was going to win. The money line for the Bills, the lowest I saw was minus 650 when they were tied. They still had the Bills winning. They never believed that this game was even close to being even. That seemed outrageously true. Buffalo's really good. But their GM needs to be looked at because, come on. Have all this, and we can't get a pass rush on a backup offensive line? Can't be the case. Cannot be the case. Buffalo has the team to be able to win, but they also are a team that could easily fall flat. It's unfortunately the reality. It really is. So that was the Thursday night football game. There was a lot going on last night. And I want to get to it because the WNBA playoffs, here we go. 10,000 foot view of sports early so that we can close out with the picks later on. Major League Baseball playoff positioning, WNBA actual playoffs going on. Let's take a look at this. The Indiana Fever. The Indiana Fever played their way in Atlanta, beating the Dream 87-85 with a comeback victory in the second half. They outscored the Atlanta Dream 29-27 in the first quarter. The favor was in Atlanta's in the second quarter, 29-20. Third quarter, they outscored them 20-17. And then in the fourth quarter, the Fever outscored the Dream 18-12. Kelsey Mitchell had 24 points. Elijah Boston had 12 rebounds with 14 points. For the Dream, Alicia Gray had 19 points, 12 rebounds. Kanata had 18 points, and Howard had 16 points. It was an outstanding game. And the Fever closed it out with getting a defensive stop, stopping the Dream from scoring to secure a berth in the second round of the playoffs. Without all the players that the Fever have, the Fever win their first playoff series since 2015, and they move on. Now, that was not the only game. There was another game. The Las Vegas Aces and the Seattle Storm. The Aces were a team that came into the playoffs on such a high roll, winning game after game after game, winning 16 in a row. And they ran into a Seattle Storm team that were not interested in backing off in LA. Weren't interested at all. Or it's Las Vegas. Sorry, not LA. AJ Wilson, 38 points. 14 of 26 from the field, 10 of 11 from free throw range. The Aces got the W last night, 74-73. We had a 2-point game. We had a 1-point game. In this series, the Aces crushed the Storm game number 1, 102-77. The Storm won Game 2 in comeback fashion, 86-83. And then the Aces win 74-73 in Game 3 to take the 3-game series to move on to the next round of the playoffs. Absolutely love it. Now, looking at what is now coming ahead. So what are the matchups moving forward? Well, Sunday, September 21st, Sunday, at 3 o'clock, Indiana is at Las Vegas. This is the semifinal round. Indiana is at Las Vegas. It is the best of 5 now. So first one to win 3. And it is home, home, away, away. Okay? And then the top team ends up being home for Game 5. So right now it is Indiana at Las Vegas. And tonight, the Phoenix Mercury and the New York Liberty play each other. And the winner of that series goes to Minnesota. And they will play the number 1 seed, the Minnesota Lynx. And that all starts Sunday, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, ABC. And then the Minnesota Lynx game is at 5 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. So the playoffs are in full swing. Semifinals of the WNBA playoffs start on Sunday. All right. Now let's talk some baseball. Because I can't believe what happened last night. And you may be thinking, you have been on this baseball thing for a while. So what happened? Well, mainly the biggest one is the Cleveland Guardians swept the Detroit Tigers. They came away with a 3-1 victory over the Tigers, completing the sweep, while the Athletics knocked off the Red Sox again. The Mariners blanked the Kansas City Royals 2-0. Hunter Green did a one-hit shutout game for the Reds to beat the Cubs 1-0. The Yankees blanked the Orioles 7-0. The Tampa Bay Rays blanked the Blue Jays 4-0. And then the Dodgers beat the Giants 2-1 in an outstanding game between these two rivals. But what did it do when it comes to the standings? Very simply this. Heading into this weekend, the Guardians are now only 3.5 back of the Detroit Tigers. They have won 7 in a row. The Tigers have lost 3 in a row. When you look in the American League East, the Yankees have won 3 in a row. The Blue Jays lost 2 in a row. They are only separated by 3 games. The Astros and the Mariners are now officially tied in the AL West. So what series do we have to look at this weekend? What series do we need to keep our eyes on? Well, really simply, obviously the Giants and the Dodgers. That series is huge. Then the Phillies at the Diamondbacks. That series is as equally huge. More for the Diamondbacks, but it's huge. And then there's the top series matchup. Seattle Mariners against the Houston Astros. 3-game series. Somebody will be leading on Sunday in that division. Somebody will be second. I know you're thinking, well, of course, that's normally how it works. No. It's a 3-game series, meaning 2 wins will go to a team at minimum. There will be a 1-game series heading into the final week of baseball. It's that simple. Now, if you remember, we're watching the Mets. They play the Nationals. Watching the Red Sox right now, they're on the road against the Tampa Bay Rays. The Guardians, who are just sitting there waiting for more and more people to screw up, play the Minnesota Twins. The Texas Rangers, for as much as I have loved how they've played and how they fought most of this year, losing 4 in a row has really hurt them. They are 4 games out of the wild card, and I really think it's going to be hard for them to actually get into the wild card spot. I think they're still going to fight, but it's going to be hard for them to actually jump into it. It's between the Guardians, Red Sox, Astros, Yankees. Those are the 4 for the American League wild card that are a safe bet. And the Guardians can still win their division as well. So can the Yankees. And obviously so can the Astros. Now, when you look at the National League, Cubs are sitting 4th. Padres lost to the Mets yesterday. Big for the Mets because the Reds won. So while the Mets are playing the Nationals, the Reds are playing the Cubs. They won 1-0 last night. There is a 2-game separation between the Mets and the Reds, the Mets and the Diamondbacks, and a 3-game difference between the Mets and the Giants. After this weekend, 2 of those teams could be out of the wild card run. Easily. If the Mets sweep the Nationals and the Diamondbacks and Giants sputter against the Phillies and the Dodgers, it's going to be between them and the Reds heading into next week. Just the reality. But for the fun of it, let's say the Mets lose 2 of 3 to the Nationals. Let's say they lose 2 of 3 and the Reds win 3 of 4 against the Cubs. Well, now you're talking about something on Sunday night, Monday morning, where they're tied heading into next week. Or the Mets are a half game up. I love it. The Mets should be in. They are too good of a team not to be in. But the Reds, Diamondbacks, and Giants deserve all the credit in the world for being where they are at, for making this interesting. They have fought hard. The Giants made some moves. The Diamondbacks sold everybody and are still winning. They deserve a lot of credit. The Reds waited for everybody to get healthy and made a push. They deserve a lot of credit for being patient and trusting what they could do. The Mets went through a really bad stretch. They put themselves in this position. It is 100% on them. The Cubs and the Padres are comfortable, and now they're just going to have to let everything kind of play out. Everything just needs to kind of play itself out, and you go from there. All right. In other football news, the ACC is currently working on a 10, I love this, a 10 Power 4 game model. Now, what does that mean? The number of conference games is currently on the table. But they are looking at going to an 8+2 model so that schools that have a non-conference rival are easier to schedule those games and, in fact, kind of encouraged to. You need to put a focus on strength of schedule. You need more Power 4 matchups. The Clemson Tigers played LSU. They have a rivalry game against South Carolina. They also, in 2027, will start to have a yearly game against Notre Dame. So they actually would have 11 Power 4 matchups. So I think they'll change the conference game requirement to 8, which, by the way, is what it had been. But if they change this to 8, I was talking about this yesterday. Remember, the spring transfer window is gone. They can now, because they handled that, now some conferences can start going at different aspects of the scheduling and now figuring out how to make their conference more appealing. Well, how do you make it more appealing? Bigger games. And the ACC, to their credit, is trying to promote higher competition level, higher strength of schedule, requirements to play real teams, not 4 cupcakes a year, play real teams in real conferences. This matters. I have been on board with this idea for a while. But this is something I wish they could implement, but it's hard to. If you have 2 16-team leagues, you make an agreement where each year you match up the teams based off of ranking in the conference. 1 plays 1, 2 plays 2, 3 plays 3, etc., 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 on down the line. What does that do? Well, some are going to say, well, yeah, but we don't want to watch 16 versus 16. Really? This is the schedule model the NFL uses, and you watch the NFL a lot. If they were to start doing a round robin between the Power 4, we're going to play these 2 conferences this year, these 2 conferences this year, and you do it, but you do the matchups based off of record. Do not let it be random as far as who do you want to play. No. It's set. Your position you finished the previous year determines who you play the next year. That is 1,000% fair, 1,000% integral in how you do a schedule. And I believe the NCAA and the conferences would really benefit from doing something like that. And I hope it eventually happens. It's not going to happen right now. I know that. But I hope it happens. Because I do believe it would be great for college football. I know I kind of sound like Tony the Tiger, but it would be great for college football. All right. Before we get to the picks for this week, we got some injury news. So, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, one of my locks for this week at 6.5. Luke Goedeke hits the IR. Not only Goedeke, Cody Mauch also went on IR. So that is now, if Wirfs is still out, 2 offensive tackles and an offensive guard. I don't know. That's a lot. The Bucs signed offensive lineman Dan Feeney from the Buffalo Bills practice squad. But that is a lot of cohesiveness to lose. Saving grace, they're playing the Jets. Not saving grace, you're playing the Jets. This is a team that I believe with the injuries are going to feel like they are just hungry. They got embarrassed by Buffalo. Tyrod Taylor is starting. If there was a week that I could say an upset could potentially happen, it would be the Bucs and the Jets right now. If the Jets can get pressure, that's all that it happens. That's all that needs to happen. Get pressure. But I don't know how it's going to play out. I'm not feeling great about my lock for this week. Just be honest. I'm not feeling great about it. Bucky Irving hasn't had a lot of room to run this year. So I don't really know if it's going to get better with 3 offensive linemen out. But we'll see. Another thing that happened was this. The NFL sent a memo to officiate the tush-push play very tightly, watching for false starts and offsides. The two things, and this is where let's spend a couple minutes here, because you guys have heard how I want the tush-push to be changed. Philadelphia players were coming out saying, hey, if we're cheating, we're not the only ones, because the defensive players are mimicking our snap counts, which is illegal. So they need to be monitoring that too. Okay. This play has become something we don't want in football. We don't want controversy. We don't want arguments. We don't want something where everybody believes everybody is doing it in a cheating way. We don't want that in football. I have said multiple times, I do not want the tush-push banned. I want the rules to be followed, though. It is very clear. The Eagles have stretched the rules of onsides with this. They turn a 4th and 1 into a 4th and half of 1 by how they line up. And nobody can argue it. The Skycam is kind of really damning evidence. The way the Eagles line up and how they run this play is borderline cheating. I will never say anybody is on the level of what the Bill Belichick staff with the Patriots have done. But this is pushing the limits. And I know what everybody says. If you ain't pushing the limits, you're not trying to win. I am not that way. So deal with it. I don't play by those rules. I like black and white. I don't like playing in the gray. And I don't give a crap if I win or lose because of the gray. I want the rules to be followed. Offsides is offsides, period. So just call the rules. Don't ban the play. Just call the rules. If the center starts leaning before it's a snap, false start. It's that simple. If the center is lined up way over the ball or the guard is lined up way over the ball and they're offsides, 5-yard penalty. Offsides. Just enforce the rules. I don't want it banned, but at this point, there is so much talk and so much controversy. This is a bad play for the NFL. This is not good. Remember, other leagues have had to make moves similar. Baseball put in a pitch clock. Those old pitchers that would slow play everything because they really weren't great pitching anymore. They lost their arm. They cut them out. Put in a pitch clock. The defensive shift that would stop Prince Fielder, that would stop Alan LaRoche, Schwarber. They took it out. Why? Because it worked, but it created so much controversy because it didn't look like baseball on the field. You had everybody sitting on this side of second base 2 people were between third and second base on that side of the field. Everybody else was over here. It didn't look like baseball. That's not to say it wasn't a genius strategic move. That's not to say it wasn't awesome that they figured out that they could do that. But the MLB banned the shift so that base hits would still be base hits. They had to. Your best hitters are pull hitters, and they were grounding out to short right field. The NBA, they banned Hack-a-Shack, which is a great strategic play if you are a team that has a very big disadvantage down below. It's a great strategic play. Really smart. The guy can't hit free throws, big deal. But it was bad for basketball. Basketball right now, and I have said this, the three-pointer, I can't stand just chucking up a bunch of three-pointers. And Adam Silver, I talked about it on this podcast, came out and said, we may need to do something with the three-pointer because it's too much. It doesn't look like basketball. The tush push is still a football play, but it borders on not looking like one, and the controversy from it is not healthy for football. I don't want it banned, but it probably will be this offseason. And that's unfortunate. Now, how are they going to ban it? Because you can't ban the QB sneak. Simple. They're going to ban that you cannot push as a running back or receiver. You cannot immediately push the quarterback forward. They tried to change the rule where they had to line up a little bit behind before they could push. No. It's going to be regular QB sneak. You line up, single back formation, whatever I-form formation, you're not allowed to be pushed by the running back, fullback, tight end, whoever lines up in the backfield. I hope that's all they do. The QB sneak has to remain in the game. It's a vital part of the game. It's this aspect of it that's not good. This is a specific play. It's just not good. It's not good for football. And I don't like anything being banned in the NFL. But at this point, too much controversy. If you're the NFL, you're not Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. When things are quiet on the controversy front, you don't stir up controversy. They would prefer to have as little as possible. Make all the money from the revenue. Don't have a bunch of controversy. Business is good. And I think, unfortunately, be very clear, unfortunately, I think the NFL is probably leaning towards trying to ban the tush push. And I think the owners are going to switch on it because of the optics of it. Once again, I just want the rules enforced. If the center starts leaning, call the false start. We can have replay assist do it. If they're lined up off sides, call it. I just want the rules enforced. I do not want the play banned. I want the rules enforced. But if that's not going to be good enough, we're heading for where they're going to ban the play. And I don't like it. I really don't. I don't like it. I hate football banning certain things. I am totally in favor of the defenseless receiver hits. I do not like the bullet hit to the heads. Okay? That I am perfectly okay with. That's bodily injury. That's a whole different thing that we're talking about. This is a play. Shouldn't be banned. You're not going to ban the double reverse. You're not going to ban the jet sweep. You're not going to ban a triple option. You're not going to ban the quarterback, Josh Allen, from just doing flip throws for touchdown passes. I don't want plays being banned. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. All right, 15 minutes. Here we go. My favorite and most anxious time of the week. Absolutely. Favorite and most anxious time of the week. Oh, I don't like this week. All right, here we go. Here we go. Oh, gosh. Time for Hawks Pick 6. Yes, I am dreading this week. So, couple of notes. Number one, and probably my biggest issue right now, teams that have been favored by 4.5 or more heading into a game in this season so far are 12-0. That's not good. That is not good. Thankfully, there have been a lot of games that have been less, and there's been upsets as far as the numbers are concerned, but there's been some really, really good football games. This week, I was looking at everything. We have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. 7. Last night's game makes 8. So 8 of the 16 games this week had a 4.5 point or higher spread on the game. And so far, teams are 12-0 when favored by 4.5 or more. I don't like picking those games. I have said that, which means I take more risk choosing games where the favorite and the underdog are really, really close. And it's very much a 50-50 guess in a sense most times. Last week, my underdogs won a good amount up until Monday Night Football. And that's when the Texans and the Raiders lost. So this week, I've got to choose. I'm picking games. I don't like having to pick these games because I think they're going to be great, and I think they are go either way games. I don't like picking these games because it's hard to have a good record when you pick games that are so close to each other. But here we go. All right. Hawks Pick 6. Oh, my gosh. Oh, jeez. So, game number one. Cincinnati Bengals at Minnesota Vikings. The battle of the backup quarterbacks. You've got Jake Browning and the Bengals with Ja'Marr Chase, Chase Brown, T. Higgins. Against the Vikings with Carson Wentz, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Mason, and that offensive line. You got Brian Flores on the defense for the Vikings, and you've got basically no defense for the Bengals. The Vikings are favored by 2.5. I think this game could end up being a blowout. I was telling Big J last night while we were talking, I go, if I could play the Minnesota Viking defense in fantasy, if I could get them off of the waiver wire, which they're not anywhere. The Vikings are on a team in every league I'm in. It was very sad because I wanted them. Jake Browning threw 3 interceptions against the Jaguars. I think he throws 3 more against the Vikings. He will still probably have 2 touchdown throws. Ja'Marr Chase will still probably get receptions and have a good game. I'm wondering this, though. Does Carson Wentz look like the quarterback the Vikings need to be able to make a playoff run this year? Does Carson Wentz play within Kevin O'Connell's system the correct way and make the Vikings look like a viable wild card contending team? The answer to that, I don't know. But this week I'm going Vikings, primarily because of the defense. So I've got the Vikings over the Bengals this week. They're 2.5-point favorite. But I've got the Vikings over the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the next game. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the New England Patriots. This game is a lot harder. I went back and I watched some of the tape from week 1 against the Raiders from the Patriots. I went back and I watched the game against the Dolphins last week. I don't know if you've noticed, the Raiders have put up 2 pretty solid defensive games this season. They've put up 2 pretty decent games. They beat the Patriots, lost to the Chargers because their quarterback decided the other team needed to get receptions more than theirs. The Pittsburgh Steelers, their defense is a wreck. And everybody's like, they'll get coached really hard. Tomlin's going to coach them outrageously hard. They failed against the Seahawks. They failed against the Jets. I believe with week 3, and remember I said after week 5, the Patriots will have things dialed in where the offense will look much better. Week 2 looked better than week 1. I think week 3 with Drake May looks better than week 2. Patriots are home. Pittsburgh on the road. They don't have a running game whatsoever. The pass game is very suspect. The Patriots defense, their return game, the special teams are really good. This is a Mike Vrabel football team. Pittsburgh Steelers have gaffes everywhere in special teams. I like the Patriots giving themselves short fields at least 2 or 3 times, making it easy for the offense to get into a rhythm. I believe they have more playmakers as far as guys who can break big runs. Henderson, Stevenson, Gibson. I like the Patriots. McDaniels knows the Steeler defense. It's not going to surprise him. He's going to use 2 tight ends. He's going to protect Drake May. He's going to get the ball out quick. Kyle Williams may have a bigger game. Mac Hollins could have a big game. I like the Patriots at home. They're the underdog. The Steelers are favored by 1.5 points. But I'm going Patriots once again. And I'm taking them to knock off the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think this is a game that can go either way. And New England may only win it by a field goal. But I like that game. I really like that game. All right, next one. Moving down the list. The Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. This one is awesome. This one is absolutely awesome. Because you have a Jaguars team that's 1-1, and they are going to be 100% focused on proving they are there to fight the Texans for the division lead. The Colts don't come into the conversation yet. It's Jaguars and Texans. It has been. The Jaguars want to put the Texans down 0-3. The Texans are in slight desperation mode, heading in to face the Jaguars, not wanting to go 0-3, needing to go 1-2. So how is this one going to play out? Believe it or not, Jacksonville is favored by 1.5 points. The Texans' offensive line looked much better at the end of the game against Tampa Bay than did at the start. I think it's starting to mesh. The Jaguars lost a game that was gifted to them against Cincinnati, against a defense that has done nothing. against a defense that had no business stopping them. They intercepted Browning 3 times and still lost. Liam Cohen is still working into being a head coach and coordinator at the same time. Jacksonville has the skill position players. Problem. The Texans have the skill players on defense to match up with the Jaguars' skill position players. And the Texans' defense consistently pounded Baker Mayfield. I'm going to say this straight out. I hope Lawrence does not get hurt in this game. The Texans have been after the quarterback this year. They have been bull rushing, stunting, pushing. Watch the games. The defensive line has been really active. The Rams used a lot of quick passes to beat them. That's all they could do. I will not ever count out the Texans because that defense, I feel, is good enough to carry them, especially when the offense just starts scoring 24 points a game. Jaguars are favored. I want to pick the Jaguars, but their play calling and the way that they've played games this year, they let the Panthers kind of hang around. They let the Bengals beat them. They should be 2-0 right now. Tough game. I think Houston is kind of desperate. Back against the wall. They got to get a win on the board. You don't want to go 0-3. I think Houston takes this one. I think Houston takes it over Jacksonville. Probably only a field goal to win the game, which doesn't give anybody any hope in the NFL right now because field goals have been Matt Prater missed one last night for Buffalo. I don't know where that ball was going. It went hard left, and it said, see ya. And just, the snap was great. The hold was great. The kick just, I don't know what that was. So doing field goals doesn't make anybody feel all bubbly inside right now, unless you're the Cowboys. And that's the next game we're going to go at. So the Cowboys are at the Chicago Bears. This is a hard game. Oh, this is a hard game. And I'm sure you're wondering why. It's the Cowboys. Of course they're going to win. Are you sure? Did you watch the game last week with the Giants? The Cowboys' defense sucks. It's awful. It's bad. I mean, if Caleb Williams is halfway accurate, Rome Odunze and DJ Moore are going to eat this Cowboys defense alive. DeAndre Swift is going to run great. I don't know. It's Dallas's big road game. It's the first one. Opening night, yeah, they're on the road against Philly. But in Chicago, 4:25 on Fox, Ben Johnson, if Caleb is struggling with the offense, I will say it now. If Caleb is struggling with the offense, he may replace him with Bagent to start the second half. That leash could be pulled this week. Easily could be pulled this week. Dallas won a game last week they should have lost. On the road, Chicago's defense has not been bad. I know what happened in Detroit. I think that was personal, to be honest. But I don't know. This could end up being, the over-under is 50.5. This could end up being a 33-30 game. I really think it could. The injuries on Chicago is what bothers me. Chicago's injuries defensively bother me, and I think they bother me enough. To pick the Cowboys, even though I really want to pick the Bears. But I think Caleb Williams is still at that point where he's making way too many mistakes. Way too many mistakes. He's playing a lot of hero ball. And for everything that Dallas secondary isn't, they are roaming hawks. You can beat them. Now, I've never seen anybody do what the Giants did and just run go routes the whole time. And Malik Neighbors looked outstanding doing it. I don't know if the Bears can do that or not. I want to pick the Bears, but I'm going to go Cowboys because of CeeDee Lamb. Javonte Williams has done better at the running back position. I think Dallas's players are better than the Bears players. And it's going to come down, and this would be the game if it comes down to a field goal you're trusting. You are trusting Dallas's kicker, Brandon Aubrey, in any situation. And I think that's how this plays out. If Chicago wins, it won't surprise me because the Cowgirls, it happens, okay? But the defensive injuries, Jalen Johnson being out, you don't have a guy that can really cover CeeDee Lamb now. I got to go Cowboys. All right. We're running over time. All right. Get these last two in. So, Denver at the Chargers. I said this last week, and I said it the week before. The Chargers haven't looked good. The Broncos have looked sloppy. Sean Payton last year had 2 games against the Chargers, one where the Broncos easily should have won, and one where they were in position to win. The Chargers' offensive line doesn't look great. Defense is kind of suspect. The Raiders moved the ball on them. Geno just threw the ball to their defensive backs consistently. It's not like they only won 20-9 over the Raiders. They didn't destroy them. It was only 20-9. They were in the game the whole time. The Broncos have a much better offensive line. Harvey and Dobbins, I believe, play a big role. This is going to be a field goal game. Lutz or Cameron Dicker. Which one do I want to go with in this situation? The Chargers are favored by 2.5. I love picking the underdogs. I've got 2 on this list right now. I've got 2 favorites, 2 underdogs. I'm going to split it. My final pick is going to be a favorite. Well, no, my final pick is going to be an underdog. I have gone back and forth on this game. I think they are really closely matched. Division matchups are great. And getting it right is really just a flip of a coin, let's be honest, because these games are so close. The Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, they're all competitive. I think the loss last week, the sloppiness, gets Denver really right because they won the previous week being sloppy. Last week they lost because of sloppiness. The Chargers haven't looked crisp on offense either game. It's been holes in certain locations. The Denver defense is better. I believe Denver thinks they have to win this game. On turf, Nick Bonitto's faster. Chargers are without Khalil Mack. I think that's a big hit. I'm going Broncos. This is going to be bad. I'm going underdogs this week. This is not going to be good. Oh, this may go downhill really fast. But you know what? I think the Broncos play that. I think they play better. I think Peyton understands the Chargers defense a little bit better. I don't think they're going to be able to disguise everything. They use the tight ends. Khalil Mack being out, I believe, is a big hit to the pass rush. I'm going Broncos. And then the final game. I am going to do one of the bigger spreads in the final game. It's a 4.5-point spread. It's a 4.5-point spread. And I believe we have our first 4.5-point spread upset. And that is the Tennessee Titans at home over the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are kind of living in Fairyville right now. Huge opening game, all for Jim Irsay. Lucked out with not getting called for a penalty themselves. Field goal doinks, field goal kicker doinks one off the uprights. You miss the game-winning field goal, get a penalty, and hit the game-winning field goal after that. That's a lot to go right. And yes, I will say if it happens this week, the Colts are a team of destiny. They're going to make the playoffs. And, it's one of those things. The football gods at that point will have spoken, and I will listen and I will follow whatever they say. But I think the Titans, the way that they've been able to play, they have played some really tough games. They've played the Broncos. They've played the Rams. They're finding themselves. Cam Ward makes a lot of plays, and I think Zaire Franklin saying, I hope he throws that ball against us. Listen, he can do it. Patrick Mahomes has done it. I'm really getting sick and tired of other quarterbacks when you've got Allen, you've got Lamar, you got Jaden Daniels doing it, Jordan Love. Every single one of these quarterbacks are doing it, and when the completion is made, they're heralded for their athleticism. But we've got these guys that'll then go on, man, I hope he tries to make that throw. I'm sorry. I wish Zaire would just get off podcasts. I really do. He needs to just stop talking. Focus on football. Because you're 2-0 right now. You could easily be 2-2 in the next 2 weeks. Focus on football. The Titans are a young team. The offensive line is going to start gelling. It's going to start meshing. Your defense, the linebackers for the Colts, are not great. I think the Titans will take advantage. Chig Okonkwo, I think, has a bigger game. Ellick, I think, is a young receiver with a ton of talent. He's going to have a coming out game. Tony Pollard's going to get going. It's going to happen. When it happens, I don't know. But I have to believe, and this is more of a me thing, I will admit, because I would prefer for the Colts to win. This is a me thing, though. I have to believe that the NFL isn't split so obviously. The Colts don't have everything. Right now, they got a lot of emotion, and they're riding it. And it's worked in the past for the Colts. Tony Dungy's son, Chuck Pagano's cancer. It's worked. It's worked for a lot of teams. That does help drive a team. They practice harder. They focus better. It's a real thing. The Tennessee Titans are a very young team. The quarterback has not turned the ball over. He has not made that play to take them out of the game, which is what Will Levis had done all last year, all the year before. Cam Ward's not doing that. They're just getting beat because they're not that good yet. It's a division game. Tennessee is hungry. The Colts are on outside grass for the first time this year. I don't think they're as fast. I don't think the offense looks the same. Tyler Warren, I think, will have a big game. But I do believe the Tennessee Titans will score. And I'm going to take him at the end of the game. Joey Sly with the 50-yard field goal to win the game for the Tennessee Titans. 27. Actually, no. Screw it. Yeah. 27-24. That'll be my pick. So, for everybody who likes keeping track, this week I got Utah over Texas Tech, Nebraska over Michigan, IU over Illinois, and then in the NFL I got the Vikings over the Bengals, Patriots over the Steelers, Texans over the Jaguars on the road, Cowboys to win a big game on the road against the Bears, Broncos with the big road win over the Chargers, and the Titans get their big first W with Cam Ward as their quarterback against the Colts. So there is Hawks pick 6 for the week. And that's a Friday. And that is a Friday. I'm excited. We got a local parade and market tomorrow morning. Then I'll be watching college football the rest of the day. Got a great lineup of games to watch. And then I'll be watching football on Sunday. It's going to be a good week. Any week with football is a good week. All right, guys, that is it. I hope you've had a fantastic week. I hope the week has treated you very, very well. If it hasn't, kick its butt today. Make it the best Friday that you can, and then have the best weekend that you can. I appreciate each and every one of you as always. Take care. Have fun. Watch some football. Hang out with some friends. Grill up some food. Make it the best weekend you can, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure to like and subscribe. I deeply appreciate it. And we will be off until Monday morning when we recap what I hope is a wild football weekend. Until then, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I am Hawk, and I'm out. Have a great weekend. Football.